I'll go ahead and call this Tuesday, May 13th, 2025 Town Council meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Greg Brewer.
Here.
Brian Burney.
Here.
Chad Gooding.
Here.
Scott Jones.
Here.
John Price.
Here. All right, if you'll stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance with me, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Thank you. First order of business, council meeting minutes from April 8, 2025. Is there a motion to approve?
I move we approve the council meeting minutes from April.
Second.
There has been a first and a second to approve the minutes from our town council meeting on April 8, 2025. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes 5-0. All right, committee reports, Parks Board.
Parks Board met last night. Lots of things going on in parks. I'll try to give you the condensed version.
Appreciate it.
Next year, Easter Bunny pictures will probably be 1 hour shorter, as Easter Bunny suit was really hot. The McCordsville Marketplace moved over to McCord Square, and sales are reported to be about double what they were last year, and the number of vendors is up by 50%. So that was very well received. The Arbor Day program was out of seedlings right away, so next year the number of seedlings available is going to be doubled. Those are events that have been held. We have upcoming events. We have the Live at McCord Square Free Movie Night on May 16th. The movie If is going to be shown. If you arrive an hour early, there'll be fun and frolic beforehand. Cars and Coffee will be May 18th. Flag Football Camp is going to be June 2nd through the 5th. Robotics Camp registration is lagging. That doesn't seem to be too popular. It's one of our new events. And the multi-sport camp might have to be rejiggered a little bit because the basketball court is probably not going to be ready or mightn't be ready in Old School Park. The Youth Parks feasibility study has moved on, and it looks like we're going to be going for a couple of multi-use fields and one kind of clover leaf of probably 4 baseball fields. We're working with McCordsville Methodist United Church on sharing parking lot between our community center and the church, as they're mostly weekends or mostly during the week. So we're hopeful that an agreement to share that space for parking can be worked out. The community center has been pushed back a bit with some additional questions from contractors on their first walkthrough, but the bid package is out. The playground in Old School Park is built, but the soft surface has not been poured yet due to weather conditions. Ashton, the Vernon Township librarian, came to our meeting and reported that she had received a $10,000 grant from Hancock Community Foundation for the Story Walk, which will be in McCordsville. I think it's going to be in McCord Square. It's going to run from April through October. And there's 24 Vernon Township Library programs coming to McCordsville and the Parks Department this summer. Our chairs in McCord Square, which were the Hollywood type chairs, very substantial plastic chairs, but still heavy, blew away in the windstorm and were turned into toothpicks, so new chairs were ordered and arrived, and people seem to like them. We have 2 new employees in parks. We have a seasonal parks laborer, Wilbert Jones, and a full-time parks labor person, Randy Dupree. And Randy, I believe, has started, and Wilbur, I think, is delayed for some college track team stuff. And last night we approved $7,755 for a cast concrete ping pong table for McCord Square with our logo on it. And our new Parks Board member was introduced. Her first name is Christine. I'm currently spacing her last name. Englehart. And she works at McCordsville Elementary School, and she has spent time in the Navy and is a firefighter, and has 3 children, 4th grade and under. So we welcome her to the Parks Board. That's it.
Thank you, Dr. Burney, appreciate it. Redevelopment Commission, I was not there, so I'm gonna let Tim handle this.
Yeah, we reviewed the shop drawings of the proposed stoplight at Brookside Parkway and 600 West. The current timeline for that is to get the bid out in mid-June. Make sure I don't mix these projects up. Open it at the July Public Works meeting for approval at the July Town Council meeting. And then it's just a matter of ordering materials and mobilizing, so we don't have an exact time that it'll go up, but hopefully sometime this fall. The remainder of, did note that we closed on the property. The redevelopment commission, with the help of the town council, closed on the property at Depot and Broadway. So that property is closed, and although I haven't gotten the closing documents back yet, so I think it's closed. I signed everything. All the new business was related to the patch development project that is on your agenda as well this evening. The redevelopment commission approved the project agreement that included the proposed taxpayer agreement. They had a public hearing for the BOT infrastructure work, and they awarded the BOT agreement. And then our FA, financial advisor, reviewed bond options, and we talked a little bit about how we select who we're going to use for bonds and how we go through that process and what current rates are and everything else. So unfortunately, right during the meeting, the rates changed, which was kind of funny. Not funny, they went up a little bit, but so we're looking at some different options to get them down, but we think we're going to get a pretty favorable rate at this point. So we're aiming to have that closed here by, I think, the latest July 1st. So pending council consideration is the last step for that RDC bond. We will move forward with pricing and getting everything moving on the bond. That was it.
Thanks, sir. Vernon Township Fire Committee, we did meet. Chief Elder basically presented the 5-year capital projects. Basically, the amount of runs, the growth of the population is moving up the need for a 3rd fire station for Vernon Township. So they'll be obviously beginning to first step trying to acquire land somewhere. So that is something that, and the need for certain, we have our reserve engine right now is 23 years old. So so hopefully when this Quint is delivered next year, they'll surplus that. Just talking about the need for apparatus and how that's just going to continue to grow as the community. So that was it. Metro Police Board.
Yes, Metro Police Board did meet. They did approve the annual scholarship that they do for 3 individuals. So there was a $1,000 scholarship and 2 $500 scholarships awarded. There's several monthly lexical updates that we have every month, which is typically just language changes and policy. As far as department update, they did do a noise test on the gun range. Everybody seems to be very pleased with the lack of sound being emitted from the range. And out of the 6 cars that we were waiting on, we've gotten 5 of them in.
Oh.
They do still need to be outfitted. They should be on the road sometime mid-year this year.
Right. Public Works.
And Public Works met as well. Very short meeting. We approved the repair quote to the school zone radar that we put in last year that went down. We approved a variance request for basically encroaching into a drainage easement in Hampton Walk. Talking with Mark and with Ron, we were encroaching it by 3 inches. And it wasn't going to cause any issues. And then we'll have a quote that's on our consent agenda this evening for updating the fire monitoring and sprinkler system here at Town Hall.
Right.
Was the school zone sign covered by insurance, or is the company covering that?
They're covering $10,000, I believe, of that.
18, and the company's not covering any of it.
Or not the.
Yeah, it was There was a
18.
debate with how they were classifying it at the insurance company because these, they were reported as new assets to the town, but they didn't make the sheet in time. And so they weren't going to cover it, but they classified them under something else. They're paying like 8 to 10,000 of the 18.
I thought it was 10, if I remember.
It might have
off the
been
top of my head.
10. So they're paying insurance is paying a portion. We had a $2,500 deductible, and we'll have to cover the rest. And we've asked the question of why it broke in the first place, but have not gotten an answer.
Okay. Architectural Review Committee.
The ARC met on Tuesday, April 15th at 5:30. A lot of business. First up was Dries Homes, request for approval of a product lineup for Area E in Colonnade. There is a thing in the PUD which says the homes in Area E should be full masonry, all four sides, at least on the first level, I think. And the homes submitted did not have that, so they were considered one at a time. And to the extent that they met the standards, which were allowed to be waived by the ARC and the PUD, if they thought that they met the character and substance of what was envisioned when the PUD was approved, the Architectural Review Committee did approve a number of them and did not approve, I think, one or two others, but there's enough approved to populate Area E properly. Second up was a request for approval of the exterior design of the Ignite Ultra Lounge at 6383 Broadway, and this was approved with a discussion regarding the installation of a fence between the community center and the lounge to prevent bleed over of children from the Parks Department to the cigar lounge. And I think it's up to the town to install that. Does that sound right, Ryan?
Yeah, I believe that we talked about doing that as part of the community center project.
Bridge North Homes requested approval for a product addition to their lineup in Preserve at Brookside. That was approved. Beezer Homes requested approval for additions to their lineup in areas C and D of Colonnade, and they were approved. Four Star requested a recommendation from the ARC for the product lineup for the proposed Stone Chase neighborhood, and two different builders' submissions were reviewed, and the Architectural Committee discussed these and found them to be substantially equivalent. And that was it.
Plan Commission.
Planning Commission met on April 15th at 7 o'clock. There were two topics. The first one was postponing that comprehensive plan, which should be finalized sometime this week and approved next week. And the second topic was looking at the PUD for a cigar bar that we'll be talking about later tonight is item 6H. And it was approved by a vote of, well, it was the recommendation to forward to the town council was
I think it's 5-1,
5-1.
I think.
Yeah, there was one missing, one dissenting.
Okay. Thank you, gentlemen, for the reports. Moving on to our consent agenda. At this time, if there's anything that a council member would like removed or from further discussion, now's the time to request that. If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
It's been a first and second to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. All right, old business. An ordinance vacating the public right-of-way, Indiana Street. This is a second reading, and we will be taking action. Ryan?
That is correct. So I can confirm that since we held first reading, I believe that was in March, We have since relocated the dumpster on the veterinarian's property and removed the remaining asphalt from Indiana Street and replaced that with dirt and seed and straw. So we are prepared to take the final step, which is holding a second reading on the vacation of the right-of-way.
Any comments, concerns, discussion?
I would just like to say that it says that it's hereby vacated and thereby the ownership thereof shall be equally divided up between all adjoining landowners. I think that should be clarified to say all current adjoining landowners and then call them out by name, because adjoining landowners can change. It doesn't say a particular date. And it has an exhibit which has 3 parcels on it, A, B, and C, and it doesn't say if it's divided between A and B or A, B, and C equally, and is C an adjoining landowner, because the parcel ownership, I think, may have changed. So I would like to get that clarified as exactly who is getting what.
Property owners A and B are the only folks that would receive any land from the vacation. They're the only abutting and adjoining landowners. C is just noted on there by the survey team. I don't know why, other than just to call out who owns C. But C is not an adjoining or abutting landowner to the right-of-way of Indiana Street.
I'm just wondering about future claims, and could we call them out by name, and they're like parcel number X is A and parcel number Y is B, and they get it split along the center line of the previous road, something like that.
Nobody else could have access to these other than A and B.
All right, if everybody's happy with it.
Duly noted, Dr. Murray, appreciate it. Always thorough. All right, if there's no other discussion, Chair will entertain a motion.
Make a motion that we approve ordinance 031125.
Second.
It's been a first and second to approve ordinance number 031125. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Okay, next order of business. This is new business. This is a resolution 051325, a resolution approving the RDC bond and project agreement. Tim, I believe this is you.
Yes. So, as I mentioned in the RDC report, we have the agreement that includes both the minimum taxpayer agreement, the project agreement before the council. We have both the council and the RDC approving that. And then you also, so that's the first thing you see there, and then you have a resolution that, the resolution approves the project agreement, taxpayer, which has an exhibit as taxpayer agreement, and is the final step in the bond process as well. So the RDC has thoroughly vetted the bond, now it comes before you mostly as an acknowledgement that they are issuing debt for the town. So they have their own debt limits, their own debt capacities, but per state statute in the process, they still need to notify the town council. So you are, with this resolution, acknowledging that they have gone through the process and that you are aware that they're taking out a bond for infrastructure. So happy to answer any questions, and a representative from the developer is also here if you have questions.
Well, I just have one question. I think the taxpayers are as protected as they can be in this. But in the event that there should be a shortfall in TIF revenues to repay the bond, should that unlikely event happen, where would the ad valorem tax fall? Would it fall only on property owners in the district, or would it be townwide?
The way we structured this, which will never happen, is we actually backed it, we kept it at a 20-year bond. If you look in the bond documents, this is a little technical. It states a 25-year bond. We're actually issuing a 20-year bond. We're doing that on purpose so that the TIF, the allocation area doesn't start, the clock doesn't start on that. This is also backed in that allocation area. We made sure, to your point, for coverage, that the actual project always exceeds the infrastructure number. That being said, there's additional parcels in that allocation area, including the Aurora center, the large distribution center that has a significant taxpayer as the abatement's rolling off. So there's significant, it looks like there's significant coverage, but we looked at the project specific, so it should cash flow. If not, the larger allocation area will more than cash flow it. However, in the structure, it shows a special benefits tax. That is mostly to get a better interest rate in the sale, with the idea that we'll never have to do that. That would be over the entire town taxpayers, but it is there as a safeguard. It is not there for actual use.
So there's a
We
number of
intend to use the
safeguards
allocation
there,
area.
but if an ad valorem tax was required, a resident in Highland Springs, for instance, would have to pay their
Yes,
share.
it's not a a special benefits tax is for all taxpayers in the town, not for.
So
a specific
everybody, not just the
allocation area.
district.
So, it's more of a structuring, though. We have no concerns.
Well, you have to have that or you pay a higher rate.
Yep. It's a way to kind of secure the bond on the market.
Okay, so,
Are we approving all these things under here, the other resolutions too, or do we need to do each one separately?
If you pass Resolution 051325, that authorizes Greg to sign the project agreement, the taxpayer agreement, and the bond.
So if we pass that resolution, we're done.
Correct.
yes.
I move we approve Resolution 051325.
Second?
It's been a first and second to approve resolution number 051325. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. All right, next order of business is the 2025 pay 2026 tax abatement compliance.
So the first one on the agenda, this is just by motion. We have to, any tax abatements we have outstanding, we only have 3 in the town. 2 of them are Southworks, one of them is the Aurora Commerce Center. Have to do an annual compliance they both have 10 years. All 3 of them are 10 years. Have to do an annual CF1 filing. We have to review it, and then we have to send it to the county for the next year's tax rate. So we reviewed it. We received everything on time. They're due by May 15th. So our timing worked well. I got to get them to the county in 2 days. Aurora Commerce Center, the first one up, is similar to last year. They're no argument they're within substantial compliance. The abatement at the time did not have any jobs or salary connection to it. They are a little short on actual cost, but that is due to the fact that they're waiting to get a tenant in there, and the tenant build out will make them fully compliant. So we have no issues with this one moving forward, and I think we're in year 3, and every year moving on helps us, so no issues.
So the clock keeps running.
Clock's running.
Okay, so I need a motion to approve the tax abatements.
So move.
Second.
Okay, there's been a first and second to approve the tax abatements. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. All right. Ordinance number 051325, an ordinance amending the salary ordinance.
What about Southwark?
Oh,
Did you do all 3, or did you just?
I just said the tax abatements. Do you want to do it separately? Do you want to do I need to do them?
I would prefer you do each line item.
Okay, sorry.
with a separate motion.
We'll
just to be
start
clear.
over.
So,
I need a motion to approve the Aurora Commerce tax abatement form.
So move.
Second.
There's been a first and second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Next one is the Southwark Metal Manufacturing compliance with statement of benefits, personal property,
personal property, and they have a real property. You can approve those at the same
and a real
time.
estate improvement abatement. All
They're
those.
well
I
within
need a
compliance.
motion for that.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. All right. Okay. Now, ordinance number 051325, salary ordinance update.
This is a cleanup of the salary ordinance. Oh, sorry, did you want to take this? Or you want me to? Okay. So we've hired several people, so we had to get proper salaries in there. Captain Bell at the time was assistant chief. We had to put him back in because he actually got into January a little bit, so we had to make sure, actually, it looks like we have 2 assistant chiefs. We don't. We just had to show that we had 2 different chiefs at a certain point. So that this takes my car allowance out of the salary ordinance. So this is really a cleanup. We're not making adjustments at this time, mostly because we're still getting a grasp of Senate Enrolled Act 1 and what the impacts are going to be. So we're working on that. We're finding ways to be able to continue to improve the salary ranges of our employees, but at this time, this is more of a cleanup of adding on employees. And we're requesting that you suspend the rules and pass first and second readings tonight.
Well, before we do that,
Public
we're going to enter into public hearing. So at this time, I'm going to open up the
First
public
reading
hearing.
first, and then a public hearing?
Well,
It doesn't matter, you have to suspend the rules if we're doing it first or second.
Yeah.
So you can go ahead and suspend the rules first and then call for the public hearing.
I'll make a motion that we suspend the rules.
Second.
it's been a first and second to suspend the rules. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Okay. Now we're going to open up the public hearing for anybody at this time that would like to come up and speak in favor, against, or neutral on the salary ordinance. Okay, the chair is going to close the public hearing, and now we go on to the second reading. At this time, the chair will entertain discussion, comments, concerns, or a motion.
Make a motion that we pass ordinance 051325.
Second.
There's been a first and second to approve ordinance number 051325, an ordinance amending the ordinance of 121024, the 2025 salary ordinance. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes 5-0. All right. Next order of business is ordinance number 051325A, a stop sign in Venters Park. This is a first reading only. Who wants to cover
Yeah.
this?
I'll cover it. This is for request was made for a stop sign. It was taken through Public Works and discussed and recommended favorably. So this ordinance was put together and it's first reading. This is for, let's see, the Cooper's Lane. It is a stop on the north-south legs. There's already stops in place on the east-west of that circled intersection.
Is it for traffic calming, or are there accidents?
There are not accidents. We did measure speed when we were out there. Nothing extraordinary found on it. It was more just a discussion in Public Works looking at the layout, and with the added development to the east, we decided that it did make sense to put that. I don't know, if Scott, if you wanted to add anything to that discussion.
No, I mean, I think that the development to the east impacted my decision.
Okay. Any other discussion? This will come back in front of us next month for public hearing and final action. Okay. Ordinance number 051325B, an ordinance amending weight limits on roads. This is a first reading as well. Ryan, you handling it?
Yep. So this ordinance is addressing 2 different streets and adding a weight limit to those roads. So the first one, 600 North, as we've looked at that roadway and it's become incorporated into town from 600 West to 500 West, with the mix of land uses that are located along that street, we felt it prudent to install a weight limit that would essentially allow the police department to enforce a weight limit to deter industrial traffic from that roadway. We do have some industrial development along the roadway, which we planned for in advance by including what we call a headache bar on that project, so that all of their industrial traffic would head out through Aurora Way and not utilize 600 North. So this is really a way of kind of not confining, but managing and mitigating industrial traffic adjacent to what's going to be a predominantly residential area on the north side of 600 North. And the second street that we've addressed in this is 400 West. That was also, a portion of that road was recently incorporated into the town for Helms Mill. So we're talking about the stretch from 400 West just south of 1000 North. And there are currently signs that prohibit semis on that road due to the crossing of the railroad grade, which if you've ever driven that road is a very steep, very abrupt grade. And since we've now incorporated it, we needed to put this onto our ordinances. So we were essentially doing what the county had already done on 400 West, but just memorializing this in an ordinance. And we are just seeking first reading tonight.
Yep. Any questions, comments, discussion by council? No, we'll see this again next month.
Yep.
All right, moving on. Ordinance number 051325D as in dog, an ordinance annexing property in the town. This is a first reading. Ryan, I think you're handling this too?
Yes, I think our petitioner is here to make her presentation. I'll pull up your PowerPoint.
Thank you, Ryan.
Sure.
Good evening. Thank you all for having me here again. Here we're at the first reading for annexation and rezone for our proposed PUD residential development called Stone Chase. And I'm Cheyenne Hoffa with 4-Star.
Thanks.
We've got 80 acres here located on North 500 West. This is directly east of the gatherings at Aurora Beezer Development. Yep, thank you. We've revised our site plan slightly since we introduced to you guys. Added a stub street to the north and widened our entrance area to create more of a grand entrance with a median and some additional setbacks to allow for some landscaping, as well as some additional amenity offerings. We're going to have a mix of 65-foot and 80-foot lots. Most likely this will be a multi-builder community. Here's some examples. These have also changed slightly since we had a few minutes with the ARC committee last month. It got cut a little bit short, but got a little bit of feedback and have changed a few of these to represent the product that we hope to see on the 65 and 80-foot lots. These are some of our amenities that we will be offering, a playground, a putting green, as well as a covered seating area near the woodlot that we will retain there on the southwest corner of the site. And just a little bit of estimated sales pace and pricing there for our neighborhood. Again, a mix of 65 and 80-foot lots there. And we're at just about 2.1 homes per acre. Any questions?
Just as a reminder, this is just first reading on the
Right.
annexation tonight. The next step in this process is it will go to the Plan Commission for its public hearing on the zoning. And once it leaves Plan Commission, it would eventually make it back to the town council. You would have both a fiscal plan, a public hearing on the annexation. You'd have second reading on the annexation and a second reading on the zoning.
Yeah, I think my only comment was just to make sure when you go to Plan Commission, really delve down into what elevations you're really going to be offering.
Yep.
You know, and for both the 80-foot and the 65, and really make sure that the Plan Commission has a good chance to look into that product, because it's, you know, in an area that we want to, in the foreseeable future, really kind of, based off the new state property tax rules and stuff, we really
Yeah.
got to look at higher quality and higher echelon type of products for the town to keep pace with the growth.
I
All right.
appreciate the
Okay.
feedback. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I did misspeak. We do need to hold a public hearing tonight for the annexation.
Oh, okay. All right, thanks. So at this time, I'll open up the public hearing for anybody in favor, against, or neutral to the annexation of this land on 500 West. Anybody? Shirley? You good? All right. Okay, I'll close the public hearing. Thank you. Any annexation? Okay, ordinance number 051325E as in Edward, an ordinance to adopt the Old Town Cigar Bar PUD. This is a second reading. Okay,
Good evening.
good evening.
Thanks for having us back. So we met once before and had a couple of little updates that needed to be adjusted. I do have one question about the special events permit that we have changed on there. There was a request that we obtain a special events permit. I just want to be clear that that is just for outdoor events. Is that what that is for, or?
That is for any event that would trigger that special event. So that involves if you would exceed your parking capabilities, if your event's over 500 people, if there was a town road that needed to be closed. And there was
Temporary structure.
And temporary structures. So
Okay.
not necessarily just outdoor, but it's probably more likely that in your case it would be outdoor.
Okay. Okay.
Just due to the size of your building, you're probably not getting 500 people inside your building.
Definitely not. Definitely not. We're looking at more of a 75 to 100 people capacity at that. So we've updated the coloring on there, and then we see there's also an update to add an existing window on the east and the west side of the building. We have not created a new rendering with those new window updates, but we will get that added to come back to the ARC and present that again. But everything else is pretty much kind of going to stay the same the way we've got it presented here.
Is your outdoor patio, is that going to be a concrete patio, or are you going to do like a deck?
It will be concrete.
It'll be a concrete
Yes.
patio, okay. Are there any limitations? Does it have to be stamped concrete or anything like that? Just regular pad? Okay, great. I like the pergola. I like the garage door aspect of it.
Thank you.
Is there any consideration at some time that you might be having something like a bar with alcoholic beverage being served?
There will be a bar on the inside, yes.
So you will have an alcoholic beverage permit?
Yes.
License?
Yes.
And are there any particular steps that you can take or are willing to take that you may have thought of, as it's next to our Community Center for Parks, where we'll be holding many youth events, and the youth events might not mix well with the cigar bar customers, and we don't necessarily want them bleeding over from the community center. But there is not currently a fence between the properties. We had discussed the possibility of the town installing a fence. I don't know if you have any other things such as signage, or if you're going to check IDs on entry, or...
There will definitely be IDs checked on entry for sure.
All right, so you have it. So tell me a little bit more about the business. Obviously, it's a cigar bar. I get that.
Yes.
But I see that you have some kitchen. Is this for food
Yes. we
establishment
have
as
to-
well? Okay.
Yes, we will definitely have to serve. Anytime you have alcohol, you have to serve some type of food. There will be more like air fryer food, microwave food. There will be no actual grease or oven head or anything like that inside of there.
Okay.
So it'll just be small
So
finger foods
not
for
a full
that.
function kitchen?
No,
Okay.
no. Still all countertop items.
All right.
Okay.
Yes.
So if the kitchen was expanded and large screen TVs went up, would this then be a sports bar?
No. Definitely will not be a sports bar. No. The kitchen will not, well, the size of the building will not allow us to put any larger kitchen. It'll be a very small kitchen for all, like I said, countertop items as far as air fryers and microwaves.
But there is a provision for you to expand the building if the storage containers are removed from their current site after 5 years.
Well, that would have to be up to the owner of the building. We are not really sure we haven't solidified our contract yet. So after 5 years, we don't know where things will be in 5 years, but definitely be a consideration on that.
Can you tell us the difference between a sports bar and a, what do we call this, a cigar? We have various types of smoking venues. I've forgotten the exact definitions.
Yes, we have an exact definition of how we define cigar bar in the PUD. And we'll find it on here. So it's an establishment specializing in serving cigars for consumption on the premises, along with serving of alcohol and food for consumption on the premises. Such an establishment may also sell or offer cigar accessories to aid in the on-premise consumption of cigars. Such an establishment must provide proper ventilation for indoor air quality. For the purpose of administering and enforcing this ordinance, the phrase cigar bar shall not be interpreted to be the same as cigar shop, bar, tavern, or nightclub. Each of those capitalized terms there in this definition are referring to the exact definitions of those words in our zoning ordinance.
Again, I'm not familiar with the rules. I know that,
They're fairly fine distinctions in some cases.
do they have to?
Yes.
Is this facility, they have to purchase everything on site, so you can't bring your own cigars, can't bring, is that how that works?
Go ahead.
Sorry, I'm Michelle Miller. I was late from another meeting, but yes, everything will have to be purchased on the inside. You will not be allowed to bring your own
Right.
products in.
Okay.
Are you willing to make a commitment that it won't be anything other than a cigar bar as defined in the zoning ordinance in the future?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We have a way of being concerned about what a business could become in the future if it sort of changed its spots. But we want to be clear that it's just a cigar bar.
I mean, that's our whole intent, is we didn't call it a bar, we called it a lounge for a reason. And so that's not the group that we're trying to target. We understand the difference between a bar and a lounge, so we're wanting to relax. That's not what we're looking for. It's a place to come and network, lounge, not like a bar, not a sports bar, because we would have called it Ignite Sports Bar, but we didn't.
Are you willing to add a commitment to the PUD to hold that line?
That's, yes.
One of the items that the through Planning Commission had a chance to think more about is the storage containers on the back.
Mm-hmm.
That, not sure our logic going back why to take that, I don't know, take a hit on our standards to deal with the containers in such a prominent piece of property, especially next to the community center. We're getting ready to put a bunch of money into, and we're raising funds, taxes to pay for that. What's the idea on that? We're saying they can't afford to make that permanent structure at this point, or what's the logic on why we would take a concession on keeping those? Somebody's got.
Well, I know for sure one of them we definitely will need for the outside storage of the furniture that we will have, considering the building is, 1,700 square feet.
Yeah.
We definitely need to be able to store the type of furniture that we'll have outside. And unfortunately, before we even opted to look into this building, those storage units were a fixture there already.
Right.
So we really probably can't speak on the second one for sure.
What was the second question?
Just, there's obviously not standard. If this is a new building, we would not accept this. It seems like it's kind of gotten to a place where, I don't know how this happened, where those became acceptable, but what's the reason why not just to build a structure that's to the standards?
Went back and forth with Brian on, within 5 years, they either got to be removed, and then for this PUD, it allows us to add on to the back of the building for a storage area. Not necessarily storage containers, but expanding.
Can I have you come, so we record this, sorry.
Yeah. So on the PUD, it would allow us to expand in the future after, I think the requirement was 5 years. 5 years from the date of occupancy.
So either add on or remove it.
So they would
yeah.
have to be removed in
Okay.
5 years and then add on. But it would be more of storage, not necessarily expanding the building space for the cigar bar. It would just be storage, like a lean-to.
Yeah, I was the dissenting vote at the planning commission, and I had concerns about the 5-year period.
Yeah.
You know, that seems to be an awfully long time
Right.
And I think we
Make-
spoke on, go ahead,
to make the repairs and make it more
to make it more
acceptable
appealing.
in an
Yeah.
appearance.
So if we reskin the building in, like a black siding, like we could also skin those containers.
I think there's some language in there that the sort of stockade that they're in be upgraded or repaired.
Yeah, I mean, right now they're ugly. So
Yes.
whether they're painted or metal siding put on it,
I think it says they're screened somehow. Ryan, do you recall what that says?
Yes, we do address that. I'm trying to find the exact language right now.
Either painted or wrapped to match or complement as determined by the zoning administrator, the primary structure, in color and materials.
And that's immediately.
Yeah.
Correct.
They have to be
As-
completed before the certificate of occupancy is issued.
Okay.
Would you
So
go
you know
for
what that
3
means?
years on that?
You know what that means? I mean, like, that's kind of a big deal to how you're gonna incorporate an odd structure that's loose and doesn't go with the other building to a consistent wall. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, you
Yep.
can agree to that now, but it's not really plausible, to be honest.
It's a tough one for us to administer and enforce probably. They need to do something with it. It needs to become more complementary to the primary structure. So if the primary structure is black metal siding, they're going to need to do something that makes those two shipping containers complementary to the motif of the primary structure. How exactly that happens, I don't know. That's why we included that statement about, per the zoning administrator, to give us some ability to have an interpretation of that at the town level.
Right. So you could get to a decent impasse on that.
Yeah.
What we're wrestling with here is if this was a vacant parcel that was purchased and it was a new development going on there, that this building wouldn't comply in any way, shape, or form or fit into the area as envisioned and zoned. It's an existing building, and we get that. At the same time, I guess we'd rather see something newer.
And if it's exterior, I mean, is the intention to purely store from outdoor furniture? That's the whole. So it doesn't need to be
Right.
really weather tight. I mean,
no,
so
and I mean,
if you did build a new lean-to roof and then kind of dealt with the skin like fence, you're not really talking. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's
Right.
not that significant. If you're trying to store inside, it's got to be FDA. You're trying to
right.
food compliant.
It's more
That's
of like
a whole
cold
different animal.
Right, cold
So-
storage. I mean, it's
So I mean,
literally a.
it feels like you're not going to spend that much more. Just say, hey, take the containers out of there. You said you're going to, in the planning commission, you're going to pour a new pad anyway inside because of the pavers and all that stuff. So,
there's pavers in
so
there.
if you just go outside, put a little lean-to roof that would be compliant, match, skin that looks like a fence. It's not necessarily weather tight.
Right, and I think that's what on here, because then we would change the exterior of the structure. So that's why we were going back and forth with,
Right.
well, if we keep these, then we don't have to apply for, I think it was another variance or
I'm not sure I'm following.
for if we added on to the existing structure. Because then it opens up a whole different can of worms of bringing everything up to code, and that was the reason for keeping the shipping containers or the semi-trailers and making them look a little better.
Yeah, generally speaking, because this is a building that currently is legal nonconforming, because it meets basically none of our current standards in town, those cannot be expanded without approval from the BZA. What we included in the PUD under G4A is that once shipping containers are removed from the site, the building may be expanded or added to for additional internal storage. So I would interpret that to mean that within the 5 years when they want to come back and build proper internal storage, they can do so without having to go back to the BZA for that legal nonconforming issue, because we built that into the PUD.
Yeah, and I guess what I'm saying is it can it be considered not internal storage, not expanding the building if you got a lean-to with a little gap with some fencing around it? It's an exterior secured storage that's not shipping containers. That's not enclosed. You're not going to heat it. You're not going to cool it.
That certainly could be written into the
If it's
PUD.
merely for outdoor furniture storage, and then we can eliminate the
That would-
shipping containers.
That would be a fairly easy edit to G4 of the
And it's
PUD.
not, and you already spend money on to reskin them and make it look presentable anyway, so I don't think it's a huge ask, I guess, is what I'm.
Right, so I think, it was going from 5 years to 3 years is what you wanted.
I'm saying now, for that piece, because you got to reskin it to get C of O anyway, and then you're going to be in an impasse. They don't agree with what you're going to propose anyway. Then you're going to be stuck. I'm saying just commit to roof, fence, or push it. We can work on it. I just think it's a pretty big deal to have those containers there for me. I drove by and really didn't realize it's bad. And
Yeah.
then we were going to pass this multi-million, a big number to improve our community center, buy an auto store next to it, make a museum, and this thing's next to it.
Yeah.
Lots changed in 30 days, I guess is my point. So I would recommend, I'm not sure how it's going to work. We can vote on it. I don't care.
Mhm.
I would vote to.
Well, I mean,
Work on
if the petitioner's open to working with, to table this and bring it back next month with the storage area design and what that would encompass, and work with staff to come up with that. I mean, I like the concept, I like the idea. I just want, once you approve something, and especially on a rezone and PUD, it's kind of like, okay, you said this is okay, and then it's really hard for us to come back and say, oh, those semi-trailers look terrible, we need
Right.
you to do something with it. So I'd rather us have it in writing and agree at the time that we're all in agreement that we need to do something, and then go from there.
And you're more protected too. You get an impasse later with the town, and it's their discretion.
Right. Yeah, it's up to you guys.
Sure. We can agree, commit to a 3-year.
So
They want us to come
3-year
back.
and that, and I think we're good.
Can we
Well-
so if we
Hold
do, go ahead, Ryan.
So I heard you guys say 3 years, and I heard you saying now.
I'm
so
saying now, come back
yeah.
and just so you can establish what that means now.
I thought 3 years of removing the trailers was what.
That's what they're
That's
saying right now. Remove the trash. So they got to reskin it anyway. Saying remove it, build a little shed, because I don't know how you're going to reskin trailers to make it look acceptable. You have that caveat in there, so you got. I mean, you could just say no.
Could you enclose it and still put the roof over it?
That's what I'm saying. It's like just put a little lean-to roof. It falls for outdoor furniture, and you're really using the skin as like a fence. And it's an outdoor storage. We don't have I thought they were going to use it for towels and stuff. It makes it so much easier that it's only furniture, because you don't really have to spend that much money. You're not securing the trailer. You're not securing it. You're not making it completely weather tight.
I think what he was proposing, and I don't mean to speak for you, but
Yeah,
I think
go
he
ahead.
was proposing like framing out the outside of the trailers and then skinning it with the same siding that they're putting on the building, so it would look pretty uniform.
I agree. Then you got I'm telling you, you got a wall up, you got trailers at a different elevation. You got a nightmare trying to secure it. You're gonna have gaps, and you're gonna spend some money doing that.
Right. Absolutely.
And since you're worried about, the reason you weren't gonna do it was because he thought it triggered him to have to bring everything up to code to expand the building. That was your reason to kind of push
Correct.
it. Correct. So I'm
Correct.
saying if we call it outdoor storage, it doesn't trigger the code to expand it to bring the whole building up to code.
Okay.
He's spending the money anyway. We get rid of the trailers.
Right. I mean, it will be attached to the existing
Sorry, making
structure.
deals
That's
here,
why
Tim.
it's
busy.
I had a clarification because I'm trying to follow the timeline here. I understand what you're saying. Get rid of the trailers now, build this lean-to, but then in 5 years they were required to have indoor storage and have that removed. So are you saying
They're
within
required
5
to have
years?
indoor storage
For the
if they
PUD.
want it or if they need it.
They may, but they were required to get rid of the
Yeah,
containers.
we're fast
So,
forwarding that to 5 years. I mean, just 0 years.
but you're saying they can keep it beyond that then, because in 5 years they would have to get rid of the containers, and the only option was to build indoor storage. So you're fine with them just having an
But
outdoor kind of.
they don't need indoor storage. They need outdoor storage secured for their. So they can come back in 5
We're just
years
clarifying.
and propose. I guess
So you don't care if they ever have indoor storage at the backside?
I think what he cares about is getting rid of the semi.
Because we'll have to take that language out.
Yeah, I'm saying, but
Okay.
just put a little lean-to, we're gonna close, it's gonna be indoor storage for what they're trying to indoor store. If you're not trying to indoor store food products,
So you're saying just clear all that out and have them convert it right now?
Right
At the
now.
beginning?
If they're agreeable to that, could we amend that and pass it this evening?
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know. You want,
that's
you want to get it
fine.
worked out, Ryan? I mean, you want to get the drawing done real quick? And
Is there anything else that we need to talk about? It's a pretty significant change.
Yeah.
I think we'd prefer to have a chance
Yeah.
to write it out.
I think we need to have it written out and brought back next month.
Is this going inside the zoning ordinance, or are we talking about a commitment?
This is going, I would assume we'd put this into the PUD.
So if you work with the petitioner on that language, remove the semi-trailers, allow for storage for, outdoor, does not have to be indoor. I'm comfortable with that.
it doesn't trigger bringing the rest of the building up to code.
Right.
So we would be attaching to the existing building. So that
Like a
would be
lean-to.
modifying an existing structure that is not currently up to standards. So how does that,
Yeah. So what we're
But you're cutting
doing is
garage
we're
doors.
essentially allowing that via the PUD ordinance,
Okay,
if
so-
this were to move forward.
okay.
Okay.
So then,
We'll want to describe how that lean-to is, what it's constructed of. It should have some sort of walls to
Yeah.
screen
Yeah.
the stuff.
Same,
So
the same scan. You're going to make the same scan, make it a gate or something at the back, and then
Right.
Yeah,
Covered.
like it'll all be closed in.
Yeah.
Because there's currently a fence. I don't know if you've ever seen the fence
Hmm.
that kind of wraps around the
Gotcha.
backside with the trailers, but there's a fence. But it would be changed to the metal siding.
It's a short fence.
I think it's like 6 foot maybe.
Yeah, shipping containers is,
Oh yeah, there's a tall one, and
Yeah.
there's actually they're sitting on concrete.
Hmm.
So there's a concrete pad back there.
yeah, so the existing fence isn't concealing the shipping container.
Correct.
Yeah.
I mean, if you were on, I guess, the west side, you wouldn't be able to see one of them, but the other one you would.
I think Dr. Brenner wanted clarification on the only permitted use is cigar bar too.
the permitted uses are listed in Exhibit D of the PUD. Right there, it is professional business office as defined by the McCordsville zoning ordinance, and then cigar bar as defined by our ordinance and further defined and regulated herein. And another key note there is that this land use runs with the petitioner, not the land.
Okay. All right, so if you guys will work with Ryan, get that language cleaned up, and then we'll finalize it next month, if that's okay.
Okay.
Have to make a motion. Perfect. To table.
No.
No.
Well, it's a second reading, I think.
Do we need, no, we just keep the second reading open, or do we need to table it?
It has to come back.
So-
Did we have this advertised for public hearing?
It was done at Plan Commission.
I'm sorry, that's not right, it was zoning.
Does this need to go back to Plan Commission, Beth?
It's just a structural change.
I don't think so.
So just keep it on the agenda and finish it next month? Okay. Next month, all right.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh, we had some more. Ordinance number 051325F, an ordinance establishing non-reverting investment fund. Tim?
I can get it.
Oh, Stephanie's
Yeah,
got it.
no
Sorry.
worries. Yeah, no, this is basically for the purpose of the next three ordinances. It's just for ease and clarity of bookkeeping and reporting. And the State Board of Accounts advised us that this is the way we should be reporting it, so. When we did the investment last year, I reported it as an expense, so you saw the money go out, but then it never really was reported anywhere in our system. So when I did my annual financial report, I didn't report it correctly on our end, so then I had to make an adjustment. And so they said we need to create these funds in order to report it correctly going forward. And this is first reading, so if anybody has any questions.
Okay. All right. Any questions for Stephanie? All right, moving on.
Mr. President, just,
Yep.
we do have a resident here that would have liked to have spoken on the last item. I know it's not a required public hearing, but I did want to note that there's someone here that would like to speak
Okay.
regarding
You know
the cigar bar.
Yeah, come on up if you'd like to. Sorry about that. Did not realize we had public comment on that one.
More questions than comments.
Oh.
My name is Robert Olson, O-L-S-O-N. I'm very interested in Old Town, always have been since I came here, and how it progresses and the vision that the town has for Old Town. I have more questions than I do answers, that's for sure. I am concerned about several things, and I was at the Planning Commission meeting
All right, chemicals.
on the 15th, I believe. One of the comments that was made at that time was, and I have no particular opinion on a cigar bar. It's just that my opinions are strictly dealing with the fine details, if you will. At the meeting, if my memory serves me correct, they said they might have as many as 150 people on the outside of the building for these special events. And they have a bar inside, but are the patrons then allowed to walk outside and mingle with their drinks? Or surely they can't all be in the building
I think
drinking.
it would have to be contained to that patio feature. And if they had a
150.
temporary structure, they would only be able to have 8 of those kind of events during the year.
That'd be pretty crowded on the patio.
Yeah.
The other part was that they said that I asked a question about parking. If you take 150 people and 3 or 4 people in the car, that's at least 40 cars. And I've kind of been up and down Broadway, and I don't see any place they can park 40 cars without taking over Kinsey's and all of the other businesses' parking spaces there, and then they're still well short. So do they park across the street at the church, or do they park across the street at Trax, or where are they going to park the cars for this? I don't have any particular objection to that. I just would like to know what their plan is. And at the time, they said their plan was, well, they'd park somewhere and they'd have buses bring the people. They'd bus them up to the facility. Maybe that could be another thing, and that's why I wanted to speak tonight rather than next week, or whenever at your next meeting, was because I think it would be nice to see the plan for parking and overflow. And if they're truly going to have 150 people there, you know, where are they all going to be?
Well, first of all, occupancy-wise will be set by the fire marshal, so they're not going to be able to exceed inside this building. Number 2, 100, if that's outside, and there any kind of temporary structure for that would have to require a plan in place by the business owner of providing to the town this type of structure. There'll be inspections as well as parking and any kind of traffic associated with. So any kind of special St. Patty's Day party or anything like that where they would be outside their normal business would require them to go through the permitting process, and those would be questions that would be answered at that time. And I know we as a town are looking at acquiring some land that will turn into some public parking in the future. I don't know when that'll happen, but there is that.
This is the exact point of the special events permit, that they would have to file for that, and we'd review it from public safety and make sure that they're not parking wherever or trespassing on other plants. We need to know what their plan is. That's why we have the special event
Yeah.
permit.
That's exactly why it's there.
A couple of other, I guess, questions are, I've renovated and restored 4 buildings since I've been in McCordsville. I started with the brick building that there at 6425 that was built in 1870. Spent a lot of time and a lot of money. Took almost 5 years to restore all the bricks and the interior. It was all done to the original Victorian standards. And I did that because my mom used to play with in that house with the children of the postmaster when she was a little girl. I've done some others since then. I did the 1911 Milk Barn, which is across the street, the green building. And I've also just did a residence I just redid. I'm very comfortable with staff and the rules that have been set in place in McCordsville. That's one of the reasons I like being here, is that they're clear, they're easy to understand, and more importantly, they treat everybody the same. I am against making all of these concessions on, for example, the outdoor storage and parking and landscaping and paving and all of the other things that have been given away. I think it sets a really bad example. Why would anyone restore a building in Old Town if you're held to a high standard and you can get a PDU and just go make a deal?
Well, appreciate it. Your time is up at 3 minutes as council, but we'll take all those in consideration. And honestly, I would encourage you, if there's more, come back next month, or in the meantime, send a letter or email to Ryan's, again, outline those, and he'll distribute that so that we can go over those and hopefully answer any more questions next month.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, sir. Thank you. Do we need to cover each of these ordinances as a first reading, or can?
No, it's just first reading, we don't have to do anything with it.
All right, so we'll move on. Appreciate your time. Next is the Hancock County Quality of Place Plan Letter of Support. Tim? Ryan?
Sure. Yeah, I'll be very brief. So the Community Foundation and HEDC has been working on this quality of life plan for probably close to a year or so. It's a countywide comprehensive view of trying to ensure that we continue to expand more quality of life opportunities in the county, as well as protect those that are already here, things like Tuttles, et cetera. And so they are simply seeking letters of support from all the different local government entities in the county that they will combine together as they present this and take it through the county approval process.
Okay. Anybody got any questions, or this is a letter provided to us by who?
Drafted by the Community Foundation.
Okay, that's what I thought. They're the ones who did the study, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
And we participated throughout the process.
Yes.
I move we authorize President Brewer to sign the letter of support and send it.
Second.
It's been a first and second for the letter of support for the Hancock County Quality of Place Plan Letter. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, passes 5-0. Ryan, do we need to discuss this based off the news that you've heard?
Yeah, well, I think we can shorten the discussion. So just for reference, the data center PUD was withdrawn officially today. So that does not mean it can't come back. It just means that it will not be on the agenda next week at the Plan Commission at the county. It does not mean it will come back, but I think the bigger discussion is, it definitely brought up concerns in the area of what that area is going to be. There was a lot of vagueness in that PUD, so kind of our proposal, since that has changed before, right before this meeting, was just to get some guidance from council. I think staff, obviously this isn't in McCordsville, but it has a direct effect on McCordsville. There were a lot of holes and gaps, and we think staff could have some recommendations put together, because something will come back at some point, and that's kind of been the bigger discussion. A little bit of it's been the data center. The bigger discussion was all the area around the data center that was very vaguely defined, and what that's going to be, and what the road plan's going to be, and how traffic's going to flow, and how it's going to affect Tuttles and everything else. So we're kind of recommending that we don't really have to take a stance for or against the PUD under consideration, but have staff kind of take a look at it and have recommendations that if something does come back, we have some ways to try and help make it better, and give some suggestions to the county if that did happen.
Okay.
So we're happy to take any direction you have. On the screen just shows you what that site was, where it was located at. It is outside town limits, but a lot of the town's concerns, at least at a staff level, has been the impacts to McCordsville, even though it's outside of our town limits. 775-acre site is a large site. This is going to be something, and it's probably not going to be residential, just with the location, or its proximity, I should say, to the airport, and those various restrictions. close to I-70 as well. So it's kind of in a weird location where you have this great quality of life amenity in Tuttle's that has been around for a very, very long time in this community. And an airport, which is growing. We know the airport is working on their own master plan. And that master plan is going to essentially show that it will not only become someday a cargo airport, it will someday likely become reoccurring commercial passenger service. So it's kind of a game changer long term. That's no time soon, right? But that will be allowed in their master plan as a setting a vision for the future. So when you think about that and what that entails, all of the things that are going to want to locate around that, how do we set up a proper land management set of guidelines, principles for this area that allow for growth and development, smart growth and development, but yet don't, negatively impact a place like a Tuttle's or any of the other places that would like to stay out there?
Is the county still working on their updated comprehensive plan, or did they finalize that? They still taking public input?
The comprehensive plan is adopted, completed and adopted. They are still working on their unified development ordinance.
Okay.
And that is, to my understanding, close to being completed.
Well, I mean, I attended that meeting they had on the last week, on the 8th, and I think one of the biggest impacts for us, not only just that, but the utilities. So they would be using Citizens Water, and they were going to be using CenterPoint Gas, and those are all utilities that service all McCordsville residents, and how that was going, and they could not answer that. So I think those are some other things too, is when they're looking at these things, how are these utilities, going to impact the ratepayer around here. They couldn't even tell us whether the ratepayer was going to pay for the infrastructure or the developer was. It was still up in the air, so.
Well, a very impactful thing, regardless of what this is going to be traffic impacts, right?
Yep.
Roadway impacts. And when you start thinking about that, you have to also think about the 200 West interchange. What's that going to do to the area? It's obviously going to bring commercial development to that area. It's going to add traffic. And it seems clear to me that we have to determine another major north-south corridor through the western half of the county. What is that route exactly? We obviously don't know yet, but that needs to be contemplated now so you can begin preserving future right-of-way for that road and it's not gobbled up by development in the meantime. And then we've got a number of things that you need to avoid with a thoroughfare. You obviously don't want that thoroughfare to be 300 West because that puts it right down the middle of Tuttle's. And there's other problems. You can't necessarily use 400 West because it may be impacted by the airport someday as they expand their runways. So there are things that just need to be more delineated and thought through, and I think it's important for the town to be part of those discussions, even though it's not within the town's jurisdiction, because it is going to impact us, and if we want to control our future, we need to be involved.
Yeah, great.
It looks like you might have another new interchange on I-70 between McCordsville and Greenfield.
Correct.
In order to
200
deal with
West.
that traffic circumstance.
Yep.
So is, at this time, no action?
No action. If you're comfortable, staff will continue to thinking through bigger picture planning elements of this and come back to you with some thoughts.
Yep. Perfect. Sounds great.
Great, thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay, Assistant Town Manager report.
Still me. Comprehensive plan, our comprehensive plan. So today I received an updated and edited and formatted version of the comprehensive plan. I'm going to send that out right after this meeting tonight. It will also get posted to our website for any public comment. The key here is this is going to the Plan Commission next week. After the Plan Commission makes its recommendation next week, whatever that recommendation may be, it cannot change any between then and council unless we're willing to send it back to the Plan Commission, which essentially accounts for a 60-day delay in adoption. So my request and plead is to please look at it over the next 7 days. If you have any additional comments or new comments or any kind of comment, please get it to us before the Plan Commission meeting next Tuesday so that we're able to, in theory, make an adjustment at the meeting or before the meeting and then move it forward to you guys here in June.
And correct me if I'm wrong, we cannot start working on updating our zoning ordinances until we have the comp plan in place?
We can work a little bit on it, but you really need to get it adopted before we can make any meaningful progress.
Okay.
Project status report is posted. Happy to answer any questions you have on it. We did add quite a few this month.
Even with the small print, it's a two-pager now.
Yep. Sure, I think we're up to 120 something.
Okay.
And last thing for me, which is not on the agenda, just I think last month I ended my report talking about how we had filled a position, which was great news. Unfortunately, this month we have lost a person. One of our building inspectors, Dave Hillebrand, has accepted another job, and his last day is May 23rd. So it's a great opportunity for Dave. It's kind of a bittersweet moment. He was a great employee, but we understand he's doing the best thing for he and his family, and he's got a great opportunity. So happy for him, sad for us, and we have already posted the job opening on a various websites, and we'll start looking for a person right away.
Thank you. Tim?
Yeah, just a couple notes. So I mentioned the Villages Signal, that we have a timeline for that. We'll be bringing that back in July. Civic and Promenade extension that will connect the police station to the town center, which will be a great connection. We will bid that out in July and bring it back in August. So we'll have back-to-back bid openings at Public Works and then recommendations to council, with the intent on that one of getting as much work as we can get done this year and then being ready to pave as soon as the plants open up, so that that project is done prior to us starting the big project at 600 Broadway. We want that connection through to town center for both the police and Colonnade and everybody over there. So we're trying to line those up. Town hall, next week is mobilization, so it's happening. Unfortunately, Mark, myself, and Eric Pullum have to clean out our offices, and we're realizing how much stuff we actually have in our offices. So trying to squeeze that out and not delay the project at all. But we're excited to get that project started. Most likely, we are delayed a little bit with the guaranteed maximum price in the community center. We're going through final processes, public processes. It's on TAC. So we have some things to do there. We're hoping that probably the earliest we start construction over there is July at this point. Still targeting to try to have it done or substantial completion by the end of the year. Some of these schedules are a little aggressive, so we'll see how it goes. Budget update, we did meet with Mike Reuter, we got a fiscal analysis based on what we could from data that we have at this point. We're still in pretty good financial shape. 26, 27, 28 when it gets in, actually 27 going into 28 when it gets interesting, when we have to start setting income tax rates, and lit goes away in 28. So public safety lit, seed it, all that gets wrapped into a new lit rate. That's going to be a different world. Nobody's quite sure that they won't tweak the SEA 1 before then, but that's when it'll get a lot more complicated. There's some advantages to going to income tax from property tax, but it's also a lot more unstable because people move, people lose jobs, people sell their houses, things like that. So I think we'll be in a pretty good position with our growth and everything. The big notes for next year are, the thing that hit McCordsville the hardest was the elimination of the max levy appeal. So we can grow, we will capture the 4% easily of growth. The problem is we've been growing at 17 to 22%. So we lose all that gap in our levy, which next year was projected to be about $650,000 that we will not capture to add employees, add officers, fix roads, things like that. So Ryan and I have been talking about this a lot, we'll engage council more as we consider new developments, as we consider growth, as we consider annexation. We're going to have to really look at the long-term analysis and make sure that we'll be able to serve it moving forward and how that affects. The good news for us is I think our lit rate will not be very high, first of all, and we'll be able to absorb some of that loss. We're also looking at issuing some debt that allows us to possibly do the amphitheater to help capture that, because there's still, I won't call it a loophole, but there's some maneuvering where we can capture that in debt, kind of like we did with the Geo bond for the 750 roundabout. And we think if Ready 2 is still moving forward, and I'll learn more of that tomorrow, to be able to do a small $1.5 million debt to capture our growth essentially for the next couple of years and get the amphitheater built as part of that central green could be a really nice project for us to do and still not have much of an impact. The other budget aspect I want to mention is there's a new line item in our fiscal plan that essentially is the loss line item, and that is the loss resulting from the property tax credit that was instituted. So the $300 up to $300 credit that homeowners will get. So our anticipated loss next year, so the growth loss is just growth we're not capturing. This is actual loss, is around $260,000. So growth will offset some of that, but we'll basically stay somewhat neutral. So we're living in a little different world, trying to figure it out. I think we're in a good financial position. I think 26 will come together decent, and then we'll go from there. So that's my SEA 1 update as best as I can give you at this point. We are a little behind because everyone was waiting on that. So Stephanie, Kathy, and I are internally working on numbers now. And then we're going to get the department heads going here as well, because we need to hit our timelines this year, and we're probably about a month behind where we normally are on putting the budget together. So, fair?
There's a couple other ringers in there too. It's not just the $300, but over age 65 gets an additional on top of the $300, I believe, a credit of $150. Disabled folks, I'm not sure if it's just disabled or disabled veterans or both, is another $125, and I believe they're additive. Not to mention that the county fiscal body could approve deferral of property taxes for up to 10 years in some cases. If there's a big wave of that, it doesn't really say what happens to make up the gap of taxes that are deferred until properties are sold or retitled. There's also enormous complicated language involving the schools. There's about 350 pages in this bill, and 50 pages are devoted to sharing revenues with schools. And we're the ones who get to share with the schools. Now, the schools are really a bit hamstrung too on their bond issues. They really are reined in as far as being able to issue new debt there, which may reduce some of the competition for tax dollars. But there's way more to this, and losing the fast-growing excess long growth appeal is really going to hurt.
My last note on that one also is we will probably recommend McCordsville implementing the wheel tax, which it's currently done through the county. That would just direct the money directly to McCordsville. They kind of pass it through now for us anyways, but
well, we have to do that
due to
because
the
if
changes,
we don't, the community crossing grants are not going to be distributed in their entirety. There's going to be kind of a pool of leftover money at the end, and that's going to be distributed based on the wheel tax.
Correct.
And if you don't have one, you won't get any of that.
Correct. So we'll be working on that, and that'll be kind of a deferral of instead of the money going to the county and then being passed to us, it'll come to us. So. Last note before the items listed there, Town Hall, the VE saved us around $61K, $1,000 on the guaranteed maximum price. As we said, we'll move that. It won't actually change the guaranteed maximum price. We'll move that into contingency line item. And at the end, if that contingency line item wasn't used, it'll just stay in the town coffers. So that was a good exercise and saved us quite a bit of money. The two notes on here, special event permit update. Just to date, since it went into effect at the beginning of the year, we've had people are using it. I would argue some of them just not sure if they need to use it or not. We've had about 4. The Rita's grand opening, which we didn't end up needing the special event permit. We didn't close any roads or anything, but it was a good exercise to walk through public safety. They did end up hiring an officer because of the review. We had a request to do a parade for opening of baseball. We ended up denying that, but we want to do it next year. It was more on the town side because we weren't quite ready. We really need Old School Park to be done, and we could not guarantee we'd be done by the date they wanted to have the parade. So that one we're open to. We just, on the town side, we kind of want the community center and Old School Park to be able to accommodate all the people. And then we had Geist Woods wants to do a street party, so they're requesting road closures. So we walked through that with them. We haven't heard back from them on some additional information, and then we actually reviewed Party in the Park for the town, just to kind of walk through the public safety and logistics of that as well. So people are using it, and it's been helpful. It's doing exactly what we wanted, which was it makes us aware of projects. It'll allow us to, if Geist Woods moves forward and gives us a date and everything works, we can push that out to the public, say, hey, avoid this area for this day. They're going to be closing down a road. We can let 911 know that there's going to be diverted traffic at that time. And also let the community know there's events happening. So it's going pretty well so far. We're working through some of this processes to make them a little smoother. And then the second thing on here was updated CSX underpass study, and I'm going to let Mark take that one, and I'm done.
Before you delve into this, just so council members, and I don't know, Tim's done a great job of working with Congressman Shreve's office, and let him know about this project. We've gotten the most federal interest we've ever had on this, and letters of support were sent out last week from community and state legislative leaders in supporting Jefferson Street's trying to find $2 million in the federal budget to put towards this project. I know this doesn't sound like a lot, but it can go to engineering and other design, and that's just one less thing. But as Mark will go through here, $2 million, not a drop, not that much towards the overall cost.
The 2 points, thank you to all the other communities, Fortville, the Vernon Township Fire, the county, all our state legislators all gave us letter of support for this. And yeah, again, this is an $80 million project, so we're going to keep moving it forward as we can, which is a little bit at a time, and we appreciate Congressman Shreve's willingness to put it in the budget and try to get us some additional money to keep working on engineering, right-of-way acquisition, the things we can keep doing. And Ryan and I received a call from CSX's main offices in Washington. Congressman Shreve also sits on the Transportation Committee, and we expressed our concern about the this project as well as the paving near the railroad crossing. And so they have called us multiple times, and I called them back today. So we have a connection in Washington with a government liaison with CSX, which I can't tell you how helpful hopefully that will be.
Thank you. All right, sorry, Mark.
Sure. First off, there's no action council needs to make with this. This was basically dusting off the 2021 study that was made of the underpass proposal. We re-looked at the numbers for that and basically dusted off and updated the numbers for it. There's, as you would expect, numbers went up. So the cost for this is $81,600,000. So it's still significant. That is up about $3 million or $3.6 million from the previous proposal. There was some savings that did occur from the two time periods. Is that we are doing our interim surface crossing project, and so we're acquiring some right-of-way with that project, and that reduces the right-of-way cost of this future proposal. So we saved a couple million just in that. So like I said, no action, but we've essentially updated and refreshed all our exhibits as a tool for Tim and the lobbying efforts we can make.
I wonder about sharing some of those renderings with news media. What do you think?
Don't know what it'll do, but
We're not even close to, I think one of the things that Congressman Shreve's office has talked about, and I think it's a good idea, is to next time, towards the end of the year, when they're out of session, trying to coordinate a meeting between several of the local groups that are involved, town of McCordsville, some of our state legislators, so we can see what do we really need to do if more federal funding can come on board to expedite this project. You know, it's not just a project from McCordsville, it basically makes it a connector
It's a regional project.
it's a regional project, and I think that's what's got Congressman Shreve interested in it, so. I mean, I like the updated renderings. It'd be great if we could ever, that's the goal, right? Make the underpass and keep traffic flowing and not have to worry about the trains.
Maybe you can run those by on the screen so the people at home can see the others.
So, all right. Well, any other comments?
Well, it's a terrific study. It's quite voluminous, but it does propose some information on how the ultimate split on costs might be between local and federal. And I think our share is estimated to be somewhere around $23 million locally. I'm not sure how others besides McCordsville might participate in that. It's a huge project, and it's been more than a decade in the making. Started with a drawing made at a cocktail party in the back of a napkin to make a bypass road around McCordsville. And the person that did that drawing said the highest and best use of McCordsville would be to push it into Geist with the D8 and use it as fill dirt. So we've come a long way, baby.
Well, the nice thing about it is we've updated this so that any of these parties that could participate financially now have the data they need to make a decision. So
It's all there, right down to the cost of making a jacking pit.
yeah. All right. Well, we're now on to public comments for non-agenda items. The main reason I think majority of the people here tonight are here. So before we open that up for comments for non-agenda items, you will be limited. We'd ask that you come up, state your name and address. You are limited to 3 minutes of time. We are going to limit the total time of discussion for 30 minutes. Since it's not a non-agenda item, it doesn't mean you can't come back next month as well. We do want to give McCordsville residents, since this is a McCordsville Town Council public meeting, the first right to state, in that if you try to keep your comments non-repetitive. We are quite aware of other things that are social media and other things are out there. So with that, I'll open up the public comments to whoever would like to come up first. Come on, yeah, come on up.
Hi, my name is Denise Rose. I just have a question on the public events. Can you only have 8? Is that now what's required, or are there a certain number of events that you can have? And I'm speaking of Daniel's Vineyard, that they're saying that they can only have so many events. Is that?
The ordinance states certain parameters that trigger the special events permit. So if I'll let our legal counsel go through those parameters, but that's the purpose that was passed in June of last year, is not as to have our businesses who are going to exceed certain levels of whether it's parking, whether it's temporary structures, whether it's traffic issues, those kind of things, that they have plans and they're notified. And yes, so if you're going to trigger these parameters, I think our council can.
The short answer is no. You can have more than 8 events
Okay.
in a year.
Okay.
As long as if you are going to trigger one of 4 separate categories, then that is what we have defined by law now as a special event. And if it's going to trigger one of those 4 categories, then you have to seek a permit from the town, so the town is aware of what is happening.
Okay, so the concerts basically can go on Fridays. Summer concerts at Daniel's can still go on because it's not necessarily a special event, because they've got the parking. They don't need to get that permit. Is that?
I can't answer that because I've never been to one of their events. But if they impact the normal flow of traffic, they have a temporary structure, they're going to exceed their parking or have more than 500 people.
Okay.
If it's none of those categories, then they can.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else? Come on up.
My name is Kim Cook, and I am one of the owners of Daniel's Vineyard, and I do have some comments. First of all, I would like everybody to understand that we will be triggered for almost any event. So when they say, are you going to be able to have the concert series? The answer is no. We are not going to be able to do most concerts that we had before. Secondly, I would like everybody to know that we have worked with the town for 5 years. We worked very diligently to establish a decibel reading. We did that 3 years ago. Through 2 years, we have adhered. We've gotten one warning. That was the last concert last year, and they gave the warning to one of our young servers, and they never passed it on. Thirdly, this applies to an event center. Our capacity is over 500 indoors. Fourthly, they are requiring a 45-day permit. This says that we have to have a customer come into our venue and say, I am sorry. If you want us to host an event for you, we must go to the town first to see if they're going to approve it. And this approval is at your discretion. So we do not have any basis on which we can sell our event center. I feel like we have worked diligently to make this work. We had no idea this was happening. I will have you know, being an event center, they never came and talked to us about this. This was done without any of our knowledge. Now, you can say we should have known. I did not know that we have to send somebody to every town council meeting to make sure that they are not doing something that will affect our property. That is not what I consider a community. I did post on social media, and do you know how long I've wanted to do that but have not done it? Because I know that last time when it happened, it was not good for this town. It was put Tanya in a very bad situation, and I chose not to do that again. So I have been very forthright. I believe that you are working on making changes. I believe somebody bragged that they got something through that would definitely affect us, and they had worked 42 weeks on it. We had a clause with vintners when we changed the policy. They said that would not affect vintners. Just like at Ski Lake, they put in that the neighborhood going in across would not be able to complain about the boat noise. I don't have a problem with that. The people who move into vintners, they named it after our winery. They should have known there was going to be music there. Music is a normal course of business at a winery. We're not doing anything that if you go to any other local winery, they're not doing.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Please make sure when you state your name, you also state your address for the record, please.
Hi, my name is Mindy Scheff, Schoeff. My address is 8891 North, 700 West. We are just down the road from the winery, and I appreciate that it is a winery, and they've done some things. But again, I'm several houses south of the winery. And yes, music is part of a winery experience. I get that. I like wine. I like music. But I don't like sitting in my living room on my couch and being able to say, oh, this is the third band this summer covering Brick House from inside my house. So yes, I think more can be done to bring down the volume, to make sure that it's quiet and not exceeding, the property too much. Traffic stacks up in front of my house, making us unable to leave sometimes. I understand you're running a business. This is my house. I've lived there since 2015. We predate the winery. So while I appreciate what it does, at the same time, it is really not fair to me as a resident the way it's affecting me and my family. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, come on up.
There. Matthew Holland, 6831 West, 900 North, McCordsville. At the risk of sounding repetitive, I am not against the winery doing business, but we have the exact same issue with the noise. We have 3 young children. We've lived here since 2013, and I've been to many wineries that music is a part of the experience. Acoustic music, maybe even live music to a certain degree, but when it becomes Ruoff South, and we're neighbors that have lived there for now going on 13 years, or 12 years, excuse me, and then the public safety on our road, 900 North, it's already busy enough as it is with the growth in our area. Those concert nights, I live half a mile from that intersection, and it backs up beyond our driveway as well. So, again, I don't want the winery to go out of business. I appreciate it being there. I appreciate the community it provides. I just think we need to keep watch out for excessive noise and excessive traffic.
Appreciate it. Thank you for your comment. Anybody else? Nope. No, she had her 30 minutes to go up. Yeah, I'll go, after, let her, then we'll, yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
My name's Whitney Bradshaw. I am an employee at Daniel's Vineyard. I've been an employee there for about a year now. And I started last year during concert season. I've been a resident here for 7 years or so. I gotta tell you, we have gone back and forth. We have always visited Daniel's Vineyard since we moved here because it is literally the only thing to do. There's nothing else. There's nothing else to do. And the businesses that we've seen that you guys have been bringing in are not local. There's a lot of chain restaurants, and all we want is a place to bring our dog, sit outside, have a glass of wine or a beer, and enjoy ourselves. With the concerts, it's one night a week, only in the summer. I understand that it's loud. I get it. Totally get it. But that is how we make our money. That's how probably over 100 people make their income in the summer. We hire so many teachers, so many part-time people that are a part of your community that rely on these concerts in order to survive the summer. That's part of their income. And my question, honestly, because I can't understand why the town of McCordsville has been working against local business like this. I don't know if you have or not, but this is what I see, okay? This is what me as a resident who does not come to every town council meeting and does not read the things on the website, because frankly, your website's not great. It's not. There's no information on anything on there. It's rough.
Which one?
Yeah.
The town of McCordsville one.
The one with all the minutes on it?
I don't know. There's one that hasn't been updated since 2016.
That's the old one. We have a brand new
Well,
one.
you need better visibility on it,
It's our fault.
okay? Because I've looked it up multiple times. That's fine. That's not the point. The point is, if there's traffic problems, maybe let's expand the road. That stop sign is horrible there. Why couldn't we put in a roundabout? Why couldn't you just support this place that brings in so many people and so much business instead of putting them under a thumb and just smashing them down? For why? That's my question. Why not support people who bring in good things instead of kill it? Thanks.
Hi. Hi. Wait a minute. Oh, hold on. You and the. Okay. Remind me.
My name's Carolyn McIntosh. I want to make 2 points, and then I have a question.
You address real quick.
8915 Spider Bay.
Okay.
The vineyard has 18 concerts a year. It's 60 hours. So you're going to limit their ability to bring tax revenues to a community that's already talking about how they have deficits. I don't understand how that makes sense to anyone. The intersection that you're talking about is backed up all the time. I never go to that intersection that it's not backed up. So the concert venue doesn't impact that any more than morning traffic. And then my question to you is, I find it rather ironic that I'm sitting in a meeting where you're talking about building an amphitheater to provide entertainment while you're trying to shut down a venue that already does entertainment. I think that's a little bit of a conflict of interest. And that's all I have to say.
Well, to answer everyone's question about the road, if you have an issue with that intersection, go see the city of Lawrence. That is not our road. We do not control it. We cannot upgrade it. We cannot put a roundabout in. We can't do anything to that. So at the end of the day, Carroll Road and that intersection is the city of Indianapolis and city of Lawrence responsibility.
Is it also Hancock as well, or is it just those two?
It's just those two. That is not our responsibility. That is been a misconception for years that we can control Carroll Road. We do not. And we don't control those. And we have tried to talk to the city of Lawrence about putting a roundabout in there. Unfortunately, when the mayor's situation switched over, those conversations had stopped.
We're actually meeting with them tomorrow.
Oh.
It's in McCordsville, that's not Daniel's fault. They're McCordsville, that's not their fault for that intersection.
It's,
If you want to speak,
Talk at the podium.
please
Come
come
on
to
up.
the podium, and so it can all be recorded.
go. You want to? Since you didn't have your 3 minutes.
Sorry, I didn't give my address. It's 6629 Brookview Court, McCordsville.
Okay.
And I live in Vintners Park. I live probably one street away from the vineyard. Every Friday night, and if they have something on Saturday, my husband and I are outside on our front porch listening to it. Because it is entertainment, it's free entertainment, and it's fun. There are times that we do go over there, and it's a nice location to go have entertainment and just to relax. And as somebody said, to have a glass of wine, maybe a pizza, that sort of thing. So I know a lot of our neighbors are not against it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Come on up.
Hi, my name's Tom Faludi. I live at 11075 Woods Bay Lane, and I appreciate the opportunity to address you guys. It's my first time at a city council meeting, and I respect the fact that I don't think you guys get paid $1 million to do what you're doing, and so I respect the fact that you all try and do the right thing. And I also can understand, you know, what you guys are trying to deal with in terms of enjoying your home. But the bigger picture here, and this is the part that I don't get, as I look at obviously well-meaning people here on the board, is, and again, I'm reiterating the prior point as to why in the world wouldn't you, given the interest that you have in the success of McCordsville, recognize what a jewel you have in this venue. I mean, it's Daniel's family vineyard. It's for families. I don't know how many of you guys have gone over there to enjoy the amenities there, or how many of you have taken out-of-town guests or other friends there, because it's absolutely a delightful place to be. But if you haven't been there, you should. You know, I've got a philosophy that I've dealt with through my business career. Let's think of a few reasons why it can be done. That's my challenge to you. Not to work against a great family who has put together a great business, whose business model 100% depends on X number of extraordinary revenue generating days in order to keep their establishment alive. That's your responsibility to every business that is contributing tax revenue for you. And it's your responsibility to every family that lives here that wants to have like a wonderful community with a very, very special family venue. So I urge you all to, let's think of a few reasons why it can be done. The couple over here, you mentioned that maybe there would be another way of mitigating the sound. I don't know if that's trees, extra trees in your yard or extra trees in, on the property, but I can't tell you that the decibel level that was created is something that, because I've been there on band setup days, that every band sort of struggles with. I'm not sure how much louder that is than the ambient sound of having 500 people that are enjoying themselves outdoors. So again, I appreciate your time. Let's think of a few reasons why it can be done. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I would like to say one. No.
No, sorry, you're not, second of all, you've had your 3 minutes. Second of all, you're not a resident of the town. And,
I am a property owner.
but I will also say that there's a lot of stuff that's not public, Kim, that our attorneys advise us not to allow you to speak again.
Our rules of procedure don't allow more than one person to have to
She
get.
spoke twice.
But you get 3 minutes. She didn't use her 3 minutes the entire time. You used it. That's why an exception was made. Relay your information to somebody else and have them speak.
Really? See, this is, that's perfect picture of what goes on. Tell one of your friends. You know what? You are more than welcome to bring any of it public. More than welcome. I will bring it public. I'm fine with it. So don't sit there and say like, oh, you don't want this brought forward. But I'm fine.
Does anybody else want to speak?
Anybody else in the public? Come on up.
Hi, my name is Jan Kiefer, and I live at 8710 Otter Cove Circle. And I've lived there for 31 years, and I've owned property in this area for almost 40 years. So I've known Tanya Galbraith for a long time, so I've watched with great interest how McCordsville has grown over the years, how you've changed, and I've seen a lot of my friends who live in other parts of central Indiana come to McCordsville. You've done some great things. You look at Carmel, how that was a Sleepyburg, Fishers, and I see that you all have a lot of plans and you have vision. So I'm like what Tom said. It confuses me to see why you can't work with somebody or take something that is a gem in this community. People that I know come from all around to go to Daniels. And I'll tell you, when I first moved here, you know, my friends felt like if they came to my house, they were going to Ohio, you know? And I'm like, come on, it's not that far away. But now they want to come out this way, and they want to see McCordsville, and they talk about the growth in McCordsville and what you're doing. So here's a really great opportunity for you all, I think, to make something really positive, you know, work with people. It's going to attract more businesses. That's what you want to do. You want to have the growth. You want to have businesses come in. You want to have other restaurants. If people feel like it's a hard place to do business, they'll look somewhere else. There are other places that are growing in this area. Fortville is, you know, so it's been a great opportunity. It's been it's a great venue. People from all around central Indiana love it. It promotes your community. It promotes this town. So please consider that. You have a lot of people that love the venue. Think about ways for the people that, you know, have something against it. How do you mitigate those damages? How do you mitigate those concerns so that it's a win-win for everybody? Thank you.
Thank you. Any more public comments?
Hi, my name is Ron Merrill. I live at 11452 Fairport Circle, a 40-year resident of this area with my wife. And I always comment about the best two things that have happened to our area in the past few years. One is Daniel's Vineyard. You know, it's such a great family area, entertainment. And the other one is, it's not in McCordsville, but it's Old Oakland, Steve Sterrett, buying Old Oakland and maintaining it as a local resident. So anyhow, we're fortunate enough to take advantage of both of those areas. And the noise, I know the noise ordinance has been a big deal over the past several years, but it's kind of ironic that The citation that they received last year on the last concert of the year happened to be my son-in-law's band. He plays the lead instrument, and it's a violin. He plays a violin. Now, it's not a electric guitar or drums beating. I mean, he plays beautiful music with a violin. So it can't be all that bad. Well, I mean, we attend a lot of concerts there. I personally don't drink. I don't drink their wine. I don't drink alcohol, but I enjoy the venue. They have great pan-seared or oven pizzas and everything else, and we enjoyed it, my family and I. And we take our grandkids there. They love to go there and play throughout the concerts. They have a great time. It's convenient, it's affordable, it's family friendly. I just wish, I know through the years they've been given a hard time on everything, on zoning, on noise, on parking, on everything. I would beg you to give them a break. You can go to Westfield or Carmel or anywhere, and they welcome these type of concerts. They welcome them. I just wish somehow, some way that you would consider giving them a break, finally. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Laura Villani, 13575 East 114th Street. I sent a letter this morning. Did you all receive it?
Yep.
Okay, then I'm not going to have to reiterate myself. But I do want to ask a question, and I don't know if you will answer me or not, but how many of you have actually been to an event at Daniel's Vineyard?
I've been there.
Yes.
So
I've
have you
not been
been
to a
have you
concert.
been to an event there?
Yes, I've been into their facility.
Okay, I just want to make sure, because the one thing I can't reiterate enough is how delightful it is, the diversity of people they bring to this area and the positive atmosphere that it really radiates, throughout the whole community. I live right over the line in Fishers, and it's really quite a delight. So I really hope that you will look at that in the big picture when you are making decisions that affect their livelihood as a business. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Any McCordsville residents who have not gotten to speak, want to speak? Are there any more comments? Okay, thank you for your comments. There is this has been given to me by our town attorney, so I do want to thank you for your comments this evening. On behalf of the town council, I want to make a few points. First, McCordsville is a growing community. Our constituents have entrusted us to carefully and thoughtfully balance how we grow our town while being mindful of the impact on our community. In 2024, this council researched and put forth the proposed special events ordinance. We want to support local events from concerts to fish fries to block parties and celebrations. Nearly every city or town around us, particularly communities of our size, have a special events ordinance in place. This was a public process. The ordinance was introduced in March of 2024 and passed in June of 2024. It took effect on January 2025. There was a public hearing and opportunities for public input along the way. This ordinance, which provides for 8 special events per year, allows our growing community to have a streamlined process we can use to plan for events in McCordsville. Importantly, from a public safety standpoint, ensures the town is fully aware of and prepare for large events to protect our residents and our visitors. Since January of this year, the town organizations have already begun using the special events ordinance. We appreciate their partnership in following the standards we have in place to protect our community. Our town is a great place to live, work, and play. As counselors, we take our responsibilities very seriously to ensure everyone can have the same opportunities, be good neighbors, and follow the processes that are in place to keep everyone safe. We appreciate your time and your comments tonight, and you're more than welcome to come back at future town council meetings and convey your concerns in these non-agenda public comments. With that, now I will open it for town councilor comments. Remember, each council member has 5 minutes to speak on any topic they would like. I will begin now with Dr. Price.
I have no comments.
Mr. Gooding,
No comments.
Mr. Jones,
None for me, sir.
Dr. Bernie.
I just wanted to say a few things about grade separation at the CSX crossing. I can remember when a bypass road was proposed to go around the town of McCordsville. It was front page news in the Greenfield Daily Reporter. And out of that beginning comes the concept of the grade separation that we currently have that makes the least impact on our downtown and is for the first time getting noticed in Washington because it's a big project and it will take that type of funding in order to move it forward. So we're quite excited to see Jefferson Shreve being involved and appreciate the support of our local state and federal representatives, and it's really almost mind-boggling to have CSX reach out to us for anything. And we will have to work with them at a very high standard in order to accomplish this. I've been through the updated estimates as I have been paying attention to this along the entire way. I think the road project was initially estimated at being something like 23 million, and now that might be the local share of the grade separation as we have more inflation and we've gotten deeper into it. The box jacking type of approach, which has been selected, is the most likely to shorten the cycle of building and the time in which our local roads will have to be closed is very exciting. It originated, I think, in Italy, but it's been done successfully in other areas, in particular one in Ohio, which is on McCord Street in Ohio, of all things. So it's very exciting to me to see these renderings coming forth and the line item detail on a myriad of pages, right down to what labor might need to be employed to move the traffic cones around as the project progresses. I believe it's going to happen. I can't tell you when. There's a lot more work to be done. If we find a unicorn somewhere and get the funding, it can move rapidly because I think Mark has things well in hand as far as future planning and cost estimates and so on, even down to how many square inches of land might be required from this property adjoiner or that property adjoiner at the intersection. So with that being said, I'm very pleased to see it moving forward at this level of detail, and I thought the cost estimate update was just outstanding.
Thank you, Dr. Bernie. I'm just going to say one thing. It's graduation season, so to all of our kids, high schoolers who live here in McCordsville, Fortville, and Vernon Township are graduating from Mount Vernon. Congratulations and best of luck on whatever you choose for your future. So with that, I need an approval of the vouchers.
I'll move that we approve the vouchers.
Second?
There's been a first and second to approve the vouchers. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes. Next meeting is June 10th, 2025 at 6 p.m. This meeting